everyone, and thank you for joining us on this very special episode of BAEP Talks With, where we have a conversation with persons who either live with or support, manage, treat persons who have endometriosis or other similar menstrual or pelvic health conditions. My name is Julia Mandeville. I am the co-founder of the Barbados Association of Endometriosis and P.C.O.S. And I am really happy today for two reasons. The first is that my co-host today is our brand spanking new Vice President, Miss Shantana Warden. And we also have our sister girl from the USA, Miss Shantana Hazel, and she is our guest for today. And I am really excited about the conversation that is going to ensue. Her mission is of having no more silence, and it rings proudly to women living with endometriosis, breast cancer. So she also supports women living with breast cancer, ovarian cancer all over the world. She's determined to ensure that all women will have access to the tools to achieve a better quality of life. She founded the Sister Girl Foundation, Inc., which provides essential education, awareness, and advocacy and support. She has received countless awards and proclamations for her dedication, support, and advocacy work towards women's healthcare throughout many different communities across the country. She's also self-published two books, which I am sure that you need to get your hands on. So Shantana, we can plug those books throughout this. 28 Ways on How to Advocate for Your Healthcare, and a new Me, Mind, Body, Soul, Health, and Wellness Journal to aid women along their healthcare journey. Thank you so much for joining us today, Shantana.
Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate. I'm so excited to be here. I wish it was in person because I love Barbados. But I wish it was in person, but this is still just as great and just getting to learn more people in your organization as well. So
Mhm.
thank you so much. It's a blessing to be here. It really is.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you here. So I really want you guys to have a really in-depth conversation about your journeys with endometriosis. We want to be frank, we want to be real, we want to share the challenges, but we also want to share what we hope is to come in the immediate and long term as it pertains to the future. And Shantana, I want to start with you. So on your bio on your page, Sister Girl Foundation Inc., it said that you had a long journey with endometriosis over 33 years, but you just said it's now 34. So can you
hmm
tell us a little about that?
Whew, it's a long journey. How much time do we have? As Heather would say, how much time do we have?
Mm-hmm.
So I started having pains and discomfort when I was 9. Let me get it right. I was 9 years old. I started my menstrual cycle. And, my mom gave me advice that any other parent will give their child. These are some of the things that she used to help her get through her cycles. So I remember my first cycle. I remember where I was. I remember who I was with and what I felt like. And it was a feeling. I said, wait, I don't think I'm supposed to feel like I'm dying when I'm becoming a woman, right? Because at 9, when we start our cycles, we think that we're coming into our womanhood at that point. And I didn't like that. I didn't want to be coming to my womanhood at that moment because, yeah, that was painful.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember a heating pad being in the mist at 9. I had a heating pad. I had warm food, warm drinks, just all of these different home remedies that my mother would try for me. Tylenol. You couldn't take too much because I'm 9. And so I just went through so many years of pain. Fast forward to going to doctors as a adolescent and just being told it's just her menstrual cycle, my killer cramps, as they call it. So I heard that term very early on in my journey. And I just traveled for 14 years, just going through agony and pain, not understanding what was happening to my body wasn't normal. The entire time I thought it was something that was supposed to be happening. So I just kept going to doctors and being turned away, just giving birth control at some point, saying that this will help regulate my menstrual cycles. That's what it was associated with, saying if we regulate her menstrual cycles, she'll be okay. And you'll be able to have less pain. My menstrual cycles they went from 7 days to 3 days. And so that made me excited because I'm in
Mm-hmm.
school. I don't want to have these thick pads on from, walking for 7 days in and out of school feeling uncomfortable. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember that stuck with me for a long time, just being able to have to wear the bulky things and because I bled very heavily. So I remember, it's so funny, not funny, but I remember my mother saying to me that she experienced the same thing, right? Her menstrual cycles weren't the prettiest. She had pain as well, and we all thought it was normal. And that's the thing, going through this journey, if no one told me it was abnormal, I probably still would be going through the same situation, being turned away from my doctors, not being listened to at an early age, having excruciating pain with no relief, and it just got worse over time. So I didn't get diagnosed until I was 25. And so that was a 14-year gap of being diagnosed. And so think of all of those years just traveling through that journey of the unknown and just really feeling like I don't need to complain about it because this is what women go through. This
Yep.
is normal. And so it was really nothing to say I need another doctor or a second opinion on. I just believe what my doctor told me for so many years. Whatever they're telling me to do, I did. Whatever medications they gave me, I took, without taking a breath, without asking questions. And I know we're going to talk about this later, but that's what led me into my advocacy journey today, is because of how I suffered in silence for so many years. I didn't tell people how I truly felt, especially my emotional state. I didn't understand the depression. I didn't understand the anxiety. I just thought I was frustrated. And in our community of our Black and brown community, we didn't talk about mental health. That wasn't something that was talked about. People used to make jokes of it to say if you did something out of character, you were acting crazy, or if you were just sad sitting in a corner or something, they would tell you to get over it. If you just looked like, my mental health wasn't always great. I was dealing with a disease that literally was taking my body to places I've never been before. So I had a right to feel anxious. I had a right to feel sad, but I put on a mask through my journey. And that mask was pretending to be okay when I wasn't okay. That was part of
Yeah.
my journey. Saying I'm good. Someone said, "How you doing, Shantana?" I'd be like, "Oh, hey, hi, I'm good." I wasn't good. I was not good. I was in a lot of pain
Pain.
every day, taking pain medication, being told by sometimes family that they thought that I was addicted to pain medications, not understanding that I needed to take them often because of the pain that I was in,
Yep.
not understanding the disease, right? I can't explain it to you because I didn't understand it to explain it to myself. And so I would just not say anything. And that's where the suffering came from,
Yeah.
where I was mute. I just didn't want to be the sick girl all the time. I'm in my 20s now, right? Not now, but then, I'm getting diagnosed in my 20s and I'm partying and I'm having fun and I'm just living my best life. So I thought it was, I had to face reality when I shut my door that I really was going through a horrific time in my life when I should be having the best time of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, Dante, hearing Shantana share that,
Hmm.
are there any similarities?
Yes, there are a lot of similarities. Hearing Shantana's story, in terms of persons telling you it's all in your head, it can't be that bad. Get over it. Why are you behaving like that? Even when she said that her diagnosis would have come 14 years later, I first saw my period at 10. And as she said, she was told, you're going into womanhood is something that, is great. For me, it wasn't. I was so excited about becoming a young lady. You get your menstrual and you start to, things start to happen for you when you go through puberty. And when it happened, I was like, wow, this is what it is. I don't want this.
You don't.
And all that time I was suffering, and you hear like family members saying, "Oh, so you try this, you try that," and it's like, yes, I did. You're not understanding that something is wrong. I even had to switch doctors because the
Yeah.
doctor said to me, "You sure that is that bad? I don't think it's that bad." And I'm like, "Yes, I'm unable to attend school. I'm having a big stomach, and people are assuming that I'm pregnant." It not only affects your physical, but it affects your mental, it affects your social. And I find that people don't understand how life changing to me endometriosis is. Friends would say, "Oh, you don't, you're not coming out with us. You always flaking. You're that flaky friend." It's not that I don't want to be there. I just can't.
And
You're not able to get out of bed sometimes. You can't. Sometimes I can't even stand up straight because my pain for me is situated within my pelvic region, shooting down my legs. So standing up straight sometimes is a task. It really, I don't know. I tend to get emotional, but it's very life changing.
yeah.
And I think that we need to really understand how this affects us as women. And as Shantana said, we don't speak about it. We don't speak about menstrual health. We don't speak about the issues that come along when you become a woman. These are some of the things: endometriosis, PCOS, adenomyosis, fibroids. We don't talk about these things. And funny enough, our family members, I guess Shantana would have seen her mom going through certain things. For me, I would see my mom probably using like the Inco pads and not thinking that something was wrong. I only found out when I had my diagnosis that she had PCOS. So keeping it from young women is not, for me, I don't think is a good thing to do. I think that we need to talk about it, stop the taboo behind menstrual health, because it's something that is normal, it's part of our lives. We have to go through it until, I guess, menopause, if it happens to end then, because some women we know may bleed even though they're at menopausal stage. So yeah.
I'm curious, do you
Mhm.
think that, your other conditions, and I think we all of us have other, diagnoses. How do you feel the provision of resources for the other conditions is addressed versus endometriosis?
Well, for me, within my experiences, I think there are a lot more resources as it relates to my other conditions. So, like things like physical therapy is there, occupational therapy. So the condition is called Marfan syndrome. It affects your skeletal, your heart. It affects your eyes. It affects the connective tissues within your body. So I have issues with my hip, my back, scoliosis, carpal tunnel, all of these different things. And I really think that there are a lot of resources as it relates to having those issues dealt with. Um, but as it relates to endo, I can't see anywhere that there's a collective amount of resources available, readily available. And if there is something, it's very, very costly.
Yeah.
Very, very costly. In Barbados, I'm not so
Barbados,
sure
right?
outside, but
Mm-hmm.
in Barbados it's very costly.
Mm-hmm. Shantana?
I think for the US, what I see now are a lot of organizations who provide those resources.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started having these issues with endo, I didn't see that.
Mm-hmm.
If it was existent, I didn't know where it was. I didn't know where to turn to find information, to find support. And so I remember looking on social media after I got diagnosed. I was not even social media, I was Googling, and I'm just looking up different things and I'm putting endo inside the Google search. And the Endometriosis Research Center came up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I remember they were the first ones I connected to find any type of help on what endo was. And so everything that I learned from the beginning was from the ERC in Florida. So they were my first sign of, wow, there's other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
I met Heather. I met Heather through the center through CEC. So I'm finding them too. And so I'm watching her and I'm looking at her, just she was on go.
Yep.
She was on go. And I said, wait a minute. So there are other women. It's not just me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
Mm-hmm.
started, anytime I wanted to learn anything, I would go to those two portals to find what I was looking for. And then from them, I found Nancy Peterson. And now I'm looking and I'm following things that she does and I'm Googling her and I'm, just getting more information and seeing the resources and how she's educating all of us when
Yep.
it comes to endo.
That nook is so important.
Right. Nancy's Nook is amazing. And I think more women may, because I met a girl recently who said there's not enough talk about endo. And I told her, I don't know what circle she's in right now.
Really?
And I directed her to all of these amazing organizations who have resources. And her mind was blown
Yep.
because she didn't know. And that's what I felt in the beginning. She is me back then, thinking that there's nothing out there, there's no one out there. And it wasn't a lot, but it was, even if it was a handful, it was someone and
Something,
something,
yeah.
right, where we were able to pull resources from. And so that's why we're in these positions, because we have resources and we are challenged in these spaces to make sure that we let other people know that these resources exist, not just for us, but for the spouses and the caretakers and the people who are around us who live with this disease. So when I'm advocating, it's not just for us, it's for the families as well, because they're in this with us and they're just as lost sometimes as we are, especially in the beginning. So I'm thankful that we have now a lot more resources. Now we're just needing to fight to make sure we're all on the same page when
Yes.
it comes to
Definition.
defining
Yep.
endometriosis, because there's so many different definitions. And if we're not on one accord when it comes to that, because it's not a period based
No.
disease, there's information that's listed that's not accurate, I would reach out to them.
Yep.
I would reach out to them and I would offer my assistance to making sure to get them educated on the correct definition and showing them where it comes from and why it is what it is, opposed to what it used to be and what the myths are. So resources have to be accurate when we're talking about the resources that are out there.
And we're also in Barbados, we are really trying to work with the practitioners because whilst
Those are the persons.
we can advocate for ourselves till these cows come home. We can't diagnose ourselves. We can't treat ourselves. Sometimes we wish we could, right? Save some money, save some time, but that's just not how it works. So it's really important for us to develop those partnerships with our practitioners. And as we've said in several conversations before, Shantana, Barbados is small. We're small, but we're mighty. And but being small, we don't have as many, resources readily available on island. And so it's really critical for so that's good in that we are able to engage with a lot of the practitioners, but it also can sometimes be problematic in that we don't have as many there's a demand, a heavy demand on the supply. And so that is something we also would really like to address with the awareness. And Shante, as she's young and she is passionate and she's trying to, as you heard, she's really trying to do away with the stigma, because the stigma is a really big hurdle, even though we know endometriosis is not a period disease. We do also recognize that the pain for a lot of people happens when they're having their periods. So if we can do away with that stigma at a really young age, then people would be able to tell you that this is wrong, that this pain isn't normal, and I need to get it addressed.
I remember we did a book tour here in Barbados and talking to a lot of young girls. They may not have spoken openly with the group, but they came to me afterwards, after hearing what I said and things that I would have gone through. And they say, that happens to me. And I'm like, so what did your parent do? Did you go to the doctor? What happened? And many of them said, oh, my mommy just gave me a Panadol and tell me, it'll go away. So it's like almost you just pushing us to the side. You're not taking us seriously. And even if they go to the doctor, they're going to a general practitioner. So talking to them, I really see the need for actually, as women, older women, going in and talking to younger girls, maybe within our communities, within our families, because these children are going through the same things I would have went through. Nobody said, okay, that's not normal. But no, we're here to say, no, this is not normal. You shouldn't be having to leave school or not being able to go to school, not being able to go to work just because of your menstrual cycle.
I feel it is, a lot of us grew up with parents who had heavy menstrual cycles, who had all of these different things when they started their cycle. So for them, it's normal, right? It's nothing out of the sort or abnormal for them. So if no one didn't tell us, then we wouldn't have known it either. And so we learn from our mothers, our grandmothers and our aunties and things like that. And so any of the youth that I hear, my nieces or their friends, they come to me. My nieces will have their friends call me, text me to tell me what's happening with their periods. And I think I have built such a comfortable space when it comes to being able to have those conversations with me, because sharing with me, now I can go and share with your parents, because
Yeah.
how would they know if we don't tell them? We are the expert when it comes to it. So someone has to tell them that what we thought the majority of our lives when it comes to our menstrual cycle isn't what it's supposed to be, that it's not normal. So I just think it's the each one teach one.
Yes.
So now that we know, and I know Shannon has the nurse initiatives in the
Yeah.
schools, and I know a lot of schools aren't open, but that initiative, having that, it's reaching the schools, reaching them in the 8th grade, and middle school, elementary, even elementary, when some women get, some young girls get their menstrual cycles early. And so teaching them about menstrual health, I think that's important. And just implementing a space, like we're going to have that on Take Care Tuesday. We're going to have someone come in and talk about menstrual health. So I'm telling people, bring your children, come on the webinar, learn something, because it's not just for people with endo, it's
Yeah.
for us in general. We need to learn what's healthy when it comes to our menstrual cycles. And I think it hurts me to see that there's still so many young girls who are impacted and are starting from where we were in our journeys in the beginning. So that's what makes me extend my advocacy efforts, and sometimes stepping outside of what I would normally do, just to make sure that I'm giving that part of information or directing them to someone that I know this is what they do 24/7. This is their job, and they have more time to focus on it. So that's why we work collectively. It's not just one organization. So I feel if we keep doing that and sharing our resources with one another, we could really eliminate the delay in diagnosis, just even the delay in understanding our bodies.
Yeah.
We have to understand our bodies. We don't allow. We did sex education class, and it was more so.
Oh,
I
not
wasn't
to
in.
get pregnant.
That's it. How
That's it.
not to get. That's it. That's all they taught me.
Yeah.
That's all that class taught me, was how not to get pregnant. It talk about my menstrual cycle, and when they talked about how not to get pregnant, everyone was like, "Ooh!" It was such a shame to
Yep.
watch the video with the class.
Yeah.
And so we wasn't interactive. I was embarrassed. I
Yep.
didn't want to watch that with my classmates. There's boys in here. There's boys. I don't want to do that. So you offer a space to our youth to where they can come in and they can talk to you one-on-one, where they feel comfortable. I remember going into one of the schools here. So I used to go into the school system talking about endometriosis, but I also talked about menstrual health, and in a health class. And there was boys in the health class. Believe it or not, they were so engaged.
Yeah.
This was in high school. They were so engaged. And one of them had her, it was a couple, a boyfriend, girlfriend. It was really cute. And he sat next to her holding her hand, because as I spoke, she cried. And
Because
she
it
was so
resonated.
right. And he raised his hand and he asked questions. And in the end, she wanted to talk out loud, so she shared why she was emotional, and he was very supportive. So imagine that, at a young age, people are dating in high school, and we having these different things happening to our bodies, but we're not sharing that. We're not talking about that to our boyfriends or our friends. And so when we're suffering in silence, that's when the mental health comes in. That's when you have a lot of the youth starting to feel depressed and reclusing themselves in their bedrooms and not talking to anyone and having dark rooms. That's not healthy.
Yes.
So I commend, Shantae, I commend you all for wanting to touch the youth and bringing in fresh faces, that can really talk to them and they relate to them even better. Sometimes an older person, and I'm going to say I'm seasoned, I'm 46, and sometimes it's a pushback because, well, auntie, you really don't know. It's just like you're older.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking like, well, I'm not old, I'm not dead,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly right.
But they relate to someone younger than them, you know, even through music or, you know, just building that relationship and that rapport. So that part of your program that you all are doing, I think that's going to be really beneficial.
Like you said, it's not just about girls. We don't live in a society that is only women and girls. We have, you
Yep.
know, we have other genders, and so it's really important that everyone is educated, because whilst it's not just, whilst it might be your body that is physically impacted, it extends to every aspect of your life and others' lives as well.
Hmm.
So Shantana, with your Take Care Tuesdays next Tuesday, I don't know if you want to speak a little more about that, because I think our audience really needs to attend if it's someone who is educating about menstrual health. Um, I think that is a really key topic that everyone should pay attention to.
So our Take Care Tuesdays, I told Julia that it started off last year, and it was more so just making sure that people were taking care of themselves during this pandemic. It was focusing on self-care and giving tips on how to do that. And so I just wanted to keep going with it and providing different health tips. And so now when Endo Month came, I said, how can I not bring in other resources for my network? And so I've been inviting, and you all were invited last week to be a part of Take Care Tuesday. And
Great.
we talked about emotional health, emotional healing, and you know, just some of our journeys and how do we advocate from then to now. And so next week we're going to invite. Her name is Valerie Carey Reevesbay, and she's the menstrual maven. She's going to come on and she's going to talk everything menstrual health, which is I think is so important because we don't talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's so embarrassing, as people would say, but it's a part of life. This is what we women we go through. People, I will say, we go through. This is a part of our life, a part of our beings, and so it should be something that we talk about and we discuss and we learn from. And so she's going to come on and talk about that. And we also have one of our physicians from Yale New Haven Hospital, and she works in our Sims clinic. And her name is Sarah Diodario. She is going to talk about sex, intimacy, and menopause as it relates to us in general, but also we're going to touch on endometriosis as well. I think that's important because a lot of us, one of the symptoms is painful
People
sex.
say, yep.
Right. And so I wanted her to come and to talk about that a little bit and to share some of her expertise and resources on how we could benefit from what she has. And if we need her assistance, where we go and get certain things from. And so I thought it was important to have those two together at the
Mm-hmm.
same time to present. I just feel like they have something so powerful. Every guest who's been on has had something powerful to add in their own realm and expertise. And so the week after that, we're going to end it with fertility. We have a reproductive medicine doctor who's coming on, Dr. Tia Jackson Bay, and she's from RMA of New York. And I have been watching her for a while, and I love people that can when they present, they are not talking at you. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So it's more so they are giving you information. They're talking in layman's terms. Even if they have to use medical terminology, they're still going to explain things in a way that the audience will be able to capture what they're saying and learn and take home some gems from that presentation. And so I know I suffered with infertility. And so I'm looking forward to that discussion. I just felt led to have her to come on at the end because I just felt like for some reason I just felt like that touched me in a way that I haven't been touched in a while. Because for Take Care Tuesday, we talk about taking care of ourselves, and a lot of women with and a lot of people that go through infertility issues, we suppress our emotional side,
Mm-hmm.
and I was one of them. And so I thought it was important to have her to come on the end because I have been dealing with my emotions as it relates to me having secondary infertility. And so I really I'm excited about that. You all can register on our website, sister-girl.org, and you register for one and you're registered for all of them. And you can they can even watch them on our replay on our
Mm-hmm.
Facebook page because
Good.
we go live on Facebook too, so they're able to catch it that way. Not everyone likes to register for stuff. You know, you may have like older people. I've recognized that we have to have different ways for people to capture our resources, and not to just have one way. If I just say register through Zoom, then not everyone feel comfortable with doing so. And so I wanted to find other ways to make sure that they get that information and they're able to be a part of the Take Care Tuesday.
Okay.
So thank you for letting
No,
me add that.
I think those sessions are going to be very exciting. So I'm definitely going to register. Hopefully, Shantae, you can register.
Yes, I will. I will.
Okay, great. And
Especially for the part with the relationships, with painful sex. I
mhm,
think educating men is very important because I hear a lot of women talking about, oh my God, I feel like this is something that I have to do, and he's understanding me. He thinks that I just don't want to have sex. And it's just like you're not understanding that this is painful. Like, I mean, I experienced it myself.
mhm.
So I think that having that in your take care session is very important.
Thank you, because it is.
And
We've all experienced
It
it.
really is. It
yeah,
really
and
is.
one of the things again, it's so taboo to talk about it.
Yep.
Um, so I'm happy that you're lifting the veil, for lack of a better term, and making
Hmm.
sure that everyone knows you're not alone with this. So
Absolutely.
I'm really happy that we were able to have this discussion and we spoke about our experiences, we spoke about our frustrations. But I was wondering, Shantana, since you've been advocating so strongly and so just, I mean, you've gotten all of these awards for the work you've been doing
Hmm.
so well and throughout the years. Is there any advice that you would give to us as a young organization?
The first thing that I will tell anyone, whether you this is your first day or your 700th day, I would say, whew, it is a lot of work. There will be days to where you feel drained, you feel depleted. But when you look at the big message of what you're doing and the people that you're impacting, let that fuel you. Let that be a reminder of your why. If we keep our why in the beginning, in the forefront of whatever we're doing, it will help us to fuel the fire when the fire feels as if it's diminishing a little bit. You know, we have our regular lives. You know, we have kids, we have families, we have, you know, spouses or significant others and jobs,
And
but we're still
school.
right. And don't forget school.
Mhm.
And it's just everyday life. And so we're still trying to impact the world, but just know that it's not going to happen overnight. I'll end with, our voices are more powerful than what we give credit. What we say out of our mouths hold weight, and it invoke change. And so, in order to see the change that we deserve and we need, we have to be a part of that change. So, just keep striving and keep pushing, even if you help one person, even if only one person show up at an event, even if only two people are there and you're doing a webinar, or if it's in person, or you're trying to reach someone and you feel like you're not getting through to them, keep going. Just keep going, because someone need that power that you hold within your heart and in your voice. So keep going, sister girls.
Thank you. Ooh,
Thank
fellas,
you.
preaching there. Thank you.
I know I felt like a word was about to come. I
You
can go. When
did.
I feel it, a word can go. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So thank you so much, Shantana, for sharing. Thank you for joining us, Shante. You're gonna be seeing
Yes.
more of Shante as time progresses. So, take note. We are going to put Shantana's link at the end of the in the end card, and we'll also put it in the caption for the video that you're currently watching. And so we will encourage you to join her on those Tuesdays and just register for Take Care Tuesdays. It's something that was beneficial all throughout the year. So please do that. And also just bear in mind that we also have our events on the 27th and the 31st of this month. So also join us for those. Um, any last words from anyone else before we close out? No? Okay,
I'm
great.
just happy to be here. I think I did a word before that, but I'm just happy to be here, and I am thankful for your sisterhood. And I'm
Yes.
thankful to have met Shantae. So you'll be seeing a lot and hearing a lot from me.
Mhm.
Um,
That is no problem. I'm happy to have you.
thank you. So just thank you, and to all of the warriors that are out there and the advocates that are out there. You know, I'm just sending love and light. I know sometimes this time of the year, it brings about some things that brings us pain. And,
Yeah.
while you're reflecting or while you're going through painful situations emotionally and physically, to just remember to be kind to yourself, to remember to speak and tell people what you need and how you need it. That
Yeah.
reach out for that support and don't be afraid. And definitely do not suffer in silence, because we are here to make sure
Hmm.
that we're giving you that support that you need. If we can't give you anything else, allow us to be a part of that support. You're getting it from people who look like you. And when I say that, I mean people who understand the disease, because we live it on a daily basis. And you are amazing. We are amazing.
I mean,
Remember
We
that.
are.
we're the warriors. We have to be.
Yes, we have to be.
Well, thank you for that last word, Shantana. Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate it, and I'm sure others appreciate it as well. So
Thank
I
you.
wish you all the best in the rest of your events, and we'll definitely keep in touch.
Awesome.
Okay.
Have a good night, ladies.
Have a good
You
night.
too.
Bye.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.